Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And by Yum. Daily school lunch menus are available to browse on the Yum website. Just visit yumcayman.ky for more info.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local environment. This is where we address the topics that matter. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, Cayman. You're tuned into The Buzz on Radio Cayman 89.9 FM, or you're streaming across Facebook, YouTube, and our app. And I'm your host, Kathy Miller. Today is Tuesday, May 27th. I'm coming off of vacation, and I know a lot of you can hear it right now because I'm even really surprised about how bad I sound. So, in saying that, yes, I did get, I want to say a little bit sick, but I got quite sick coming home from vacation. Of course, that's how it's going to be right when you get home. That's when it hits you. At least it didn't hit me while I was out and about on my travels. But this is day 5 now. So I think it's day 5. So I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to have the good vibes that we need in the morning to get through our day, the positive affirmations, saying that I will get better, it's going to go away. By the end of the day, my voice will be back. But in order for that to happen, I can't talk so much today. And it is going to be mostly open line on the Buzz this morning. Now, I can't just talk, guys. I'm going to lose my voice for sure. So I need you to, who is tuned in and wants to talk about the hot topic that we'll be discussing today, which is the term limits in the civil service for non-Caymanians. Now, I thought when I went on vacation after a crazy election season, it's going to be peaceful. Nothing too much is going to be happening in the Cayman Islands in the month of May. I'll be gone, so all the news will go with me. And bam, I was wrong. I was so wrong, but at least they brought that news at the very cusp of my vacation. So it was around the end, and that's when I got on my way home. And I'm not too late in talking about it at all because it is still fresh out there. So we're diving into a significant development in our immigration policy and our public sector with the Cayman Islands government's recent decision to implement term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants. Announced on May 22nd, I think it was, this policy is set to take effect on January 1st, 2026, and marks a pivotal shift in our civil service employment landscape. If you haven't heard the news or the announcement from the Premier, the Honourable Ebanks, and Deputy Governor Franz Manderson, let's play that clip for you now, and then we'll talk the things. All right, Susan, we got the audio clip we can air for our listeners.
This is an official message from Premier the Honourable Ebanks and Deputy Governor the Honourable Franz Manderson.
Good evening, fellow Caymanians and residents. Today, the Deputy Governor, the Honourable Franz Manderson, and I would like to provide an update to the country concerning an important cabinet decision made yesterday. My cabinet colleagues and I approved draft and instructions to introduce for the first time in Cayman's history immigration term limits for non-Caymanians working within the civil service. This follows extensive consultation, statistical, and policy analysis previously conducted by the Deputy Governor's Office, as well as a portfolio of the civil service. It's envisioned that these changes will be implemented by 1 January 2026 and reflects the initial steps of our government, the National Coalition for Caymanians, aim to reform immigration policy in this country.
Premier, thank you very much, and to you and your government for your collaborative approach in getting us here, as you said, to this historic day in our beloved Cayman Islands. We believe that term limits being introduced in the civil service in itself will not automatically translate to more Caymanians joining the civil service or the upward mobility for Caymanians in the civil service. Therefore, what we have recommended to the government, and they have accepted, is an enhanced term limit policy that we believe, once implemented, will achieve more jobs for Caymanians and upward mobility for Caymanians in the civil service. I am proud that we, the civil service, is the largest employer of Caymanians. However, we will not rest on that fact, and we will continue to do whatever is necessary to ensure that the people of the Cayman Islands who wish to join the civil service do so, and those persons who deserve promotions within the civil service will achieve those promotions. So what have we done? We have increased the break that is set out in the Immigration Transition Act of 1 year, where a person who reaches the end of their term limit will have to leave the island for 1 year. In the civil service, we will increase that to 2 years. Also, we will ensure that we set out very clearly the jobs that are available for Caymanians only. That would be an historic first step in our public service management law, where we designate certain jobs that can only be held by our people. Additionally, we will strengthen the provisions to ensure that persons who are employed in the private sector, non-Caymanians in the private sector, are not able to join the civil service to avoid the term limits. Also, we will require non-Caymanians in the civil service as part of their contract to train Caymanians. We believe these enhancements to the term limit policy will achieve better outcomes for the people of the Cayman Islands.
Thank you, DG. As you can see with the proposed enhancement, our government is going to work at every stage, whether it's this policy or future policies, in lockstep with the civil service and key stakeholders to ensure that what is produced are changes that secure the future for our Caymanians, while at the same time reducing major risk of service disruption with respect to key essential public services. It is with that aim and that partnership where we can deliver real results and move campaign words into action.
Thank you, Premier. In the civil service, there are 4,800 employees. Of those, 1,400 approximately are non-Caymanians. The majority of non-Caymanians are employed in the police, in the prison, at the Department of Children and Family Services, in our care homes, and by the Department of Educational Services. I want to thank those non-Caymanians in those agencies and across the civil service for the jobs that they do to ensure the success of our beloved Cayman Islands. However, we want to ensure that the term limit policy that we are implementing does not disrupt our services, that we are able to provide the essential services that are not available anywhere else in the Cayman Islands to our people and to the government. We have an overriding responsibility in the civil service to work hard every day to make lives better. And we believe the policy that we have just explained to you will achieve just that.
Thank you, Deputy Governor. Also thank Her Excellency, the Governor, and all of your staff and all of my colleagues in the National Coalition for Caymanians. There will be more announcements to come. We expect in the days ahead that there will be announcements from Minister Michael Miles with respect to proposed reforms for immigration reform in the private sector. And again, we will seek to strike a balance at the same time securing the future for Caymanians. God bless those who are listening, and may God bless the Cayman Islands.
Wow, even more potential changes to come in the next coming days, guys. So this just hit us right away in these first 2 weeks here, and there's going to be more changes coming as we heard the Premier allude to, likely in Minister Michael Miles' area, which is with immigration and work. So I guess we're going to be seeing what other changes are going to be happening in immigration policy and how that will affect the private sector as well. So there's a lot to unpack with that announcement that was just over 6 minutes long. So let's unpack what it means for the workforce, for the community, the potential benefits, the concerns raised, and I want to hear from you with your perspectives. The numbers to call are 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, and you can WhatsApp call or WhatsApp text me at 925-3261. Already, we do have one comment that came in. So I'm about to go to a commercial break, but right before I go to that break, I will read this comment that did come in. It said, "Good morning. Term limits for civil servants should have been implemented 20 to 30 years ago." Thank you. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that listener for, giving their perspective. If they want to elaborate on that, I welcome them to do so. Again, you can give me your thoughts, your perspectives on how you feel about term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants. We're going to unpack everything after this commercial break.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Alexander Selvin Eden, 1888 through 1985. Alexander Selvin Eden was a dedicated family man. He and his wife, Sarah Leonie Nee West, had 7 children, and their father made sure that they had the best education available. He loved to work the land and also raised livestock, providing steady employment for others. As a young man, he worked overseas on the construction of the Florida East Coast Railway, returning home after World War I. His major contribution was filling the void in transportation of goods and passengers between Georgetown and Bordentown, which he did with a horse-drawn carriage for 35 years in all kinds of conditions. The government called upon him for many duties in his district, including police service, tax collection, operation of the cattle dip to control ticks, service as foreman of roadworks, and as pound keeper, keeping stray cattle until their owners reclaimed them, and the maintenance of telephone lines. He also served as a member of the Assembly of Justices and Vestry.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller. It is a beautiful day, Tuesday, May 27th. I am back at work, at least, as much as I can be. Might be some work from home days for a little bit until I'm 100% feeling better here. If you missed the very beginning portion of the show, I mentioned that we are talking about the term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants, which is a change that is proposed in immigration policy. And I'm not sure if we have any callers online about it. We do have a caller. All right, let us take the WhatsApp call and hear from our caller, hear what the perspectives are on these term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants. Good morning. Thanks for calling The Buzz.
Good morning, Kathy Miller. I'm sorry, first of all, that I have to start unpacking this for you because you were about to start unpacking it.
You can unpack. You're saving my voice. I'm thankful for you.
Okay, you're so kind. Put it this way. The last message that you got, the gentleman or the lady didn't say exactly, like why they were saying what they were saying. Let me pick it up from there.
Okay.
One, first of all, I should congratulate the government for taking this bold step. They promised to do something very early, and they have started to do it within the first, not even 100 days. But that said, I think we are starting to learn a few things. Okay, the second thing. Second is, like the other the person who sent the message, why is this happening now? They had announced 20 years ago that they were going to introduce rollover in government, and then they reneged on that, and this has been an issue for 20 years, and now they come back and they say, well, we want to do it now.
Has it been an issue? Has it really been an issue?
Yes, it has been. I mean, it has been an issue since practically the mass grants of 2003 and 2004. And once that had happened, then the rollover was introduced, and it was supposed to apply across the board. And Mr. McCarthy then, in 2004, thereabouts, he issued a circular saying that rollover is going to apply in government. I was in government then, so I got the circular.
Okay.
Okay.
You remember that, okay.
Yeah, and then they said, okay, well, after a few weeks, they said we're not going to do it. Okay, so it has been an issue all this time. And then I know that when I used to go on another show about 2018 very regularly, the issue of jobs for Caymanians was also just a big issue. And then they amended Section 61 of the immigration law to allow government or cabinet to issue an order to say certain jobs will be for Caymanians only, but they never issued an order, So this stuff has been knocking around for a long time. But let me talk about the rollout. The rollout, quite frankly, has been poor. The clip that you played, and that's like about the third or fourth time that I'm listening to it, they didn't have the meat that people were looking for. Now, I know that when you first make an announcement, you can't have all the details, but surely you must have the central details right. They said there, well, this will come into effect beginning 1st of January 2026. I wrote legislation for much of my legal career. I didn't know what that meant, okay? The thing that people want to find out is, if I've been in government for 3 years, how does that affect me? If I've been in government for 8 years and 1 day, meaning that I'm eligible to apply, but I haven't applied, how does that affect me? If I have applied, but I haven't got a final answer, how does that affect me? If I am outside Cayman, I've got a job, I've signed a contract, but I haven't arrived, how does that affect me? Now, maybe they didn't need to go into that level of detail, but really they needed to say exactly what it means. Now, I understand the meaning is actually that this period of 9 years will start counting in January. So in other words, this policy will only take effect in 9 years.
Meaning, hold on, I know you have a lot to say, but I got to stick a pin every once in a while that I need to get a thought in with you. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. Meaning that if, let's say I've worked at Radio Cayman 10 years, my 9 years would start in January 1st, 2026.
Exactly, so that you could be here for a total of 19 years.
Okay.
Which means effectively that you are going to get status.
Because the notation the notation I have says, as you said, January 1st, 2026, for both existing and new non-Caymanian civil servants. And again, that's a bit of a gray area. We don't know exactly what that means.
It's a bit of a gray area, but the way most people are understanding it is that since they said it will not be retrospective, and it will start in January. So it means that if you've been here 3 years, those 3 years won't count. And because they are also saying, we don't want to apply it in such a way that too many people will leave and then there will be a problem of continuity. But I believe that those are some of the issues the deputy governor was supposed to clarify. I think it was yesterday, was it, when he was supposed to have a meeting with the civil servants? Yeah, anyway, so I
the town hall meeting. There was a town hall meeting. I was sick, so...
Pardon me?
There was a town hall meeting online, yes, for civil servants. The deputy governor held.
Yeah, so I hope we can get some information from that. But the most important thing is this: we have now found out that although there was this clamoring for applying rollover in government, the truth of the matter is that there were not so many people in government being granted status anyway, because what the governor said was that in the last 20 years. There have been less than 90 grants of status in government. Now, what does that mean? It means that the grants in government have only been like 4.5 per year. Now, how many overall have been granted in the whole of Cayman? The statistics are that it's about 1,500 plus. So even if you change this in government, you are merely beginning to scratch the surface. Most of the grants, it means, are coming from the private sector. Now, what some people have suggested, this is not my original suggestion, is that you need to establish targets. You are granting status at the rate of 1,500 per year. The birth rate in the Cayman Islands is about 800 children per year. Of those 800, about 600, I believe, would be like Caymanians by descent or indigenous Caymanians. So that if you continue granting status at that rate, or if you only reduce it to about 1,000, you are still, as Caymanians, being replaced at a very high rate. And to me, I would have wanted to hear what the targets are in terms of what government wants to achieve. Now, if government is not aiming to reverse that, that's a policy decision they can make. But to me, it looks like what they've announced up to this point in time is not going to even make a dent in all these matters. If they want to really make a dent, they would have to reduce status grants to somewhere around 400 to 300. How they reduce those and define who qualifies, that's a thing that they'll have to do. Finally, exemptions. They are saying that they want some exemptions in government to be given, and exemptions are always important in a policy. You have to be flexible, but I begin from the premise that nobody is irreplaceable. we have learned in government also that the majority of the people don't stay long. They stay about 6 years and then they leave. So if you say that you are going to apply this policy straight away and that it will apply to people who are already in the civil service, I don't see how that would negatively affect it anyway, because these are people generally who would have come in the last 5 to 6 years and have left. So in my view, there's a lot that remains to be done. There is a lot that remains to be explained, and I'm hoping that we can get some further clarity from the Deputy Governor from his meeting, and hopefully once they actually lay out what they want to do. By the way, I don't think it's correct for them to go and draft the legislation now. What they should have done is they should have done a white paper or some kind of consultation paper, take it to be consulted, to be commented on by the public. First of all, discuss the ideas, and then once that is agreed, then they can come with a draft.
I agree. I agree with you. I have to interrupt you. I agree with you. I think it should have been a white paper as well, public consultation. But as you did say earlier, this thought has been around for some time. Things have been drafted already previously, so this idea has been kicking around for quite some time. I do have to cut us off right now. I have to go to the 8 a.m. news, but I do welcome you to call back for 8:15 when we resume the buzz again, because we're going to be continuing this discussion, and I know you have more points to make, and I always like to hear what you have to say.
Cheers.
Thank you, Kathy. Studio time now by Foster's is 8 o'clock.
Hungry? Let's eat. Foster's Bay Market Cafe is now on the Let's Eat app with a fiesta of bold Mexican. Build it your way with custom tacos, burritos, or nachos, loaded with all your fave toppings. Or go bold with the El Gran Cayman, big, spicy, and packed with flavor. Or savor El Pollo en Mas, flame-kissed and full of smoky goodness. Then end on a sweet note with a warm, crispy churro dipped in chocolate or caramel. This fiesta is fresh, fast, and full of flavor. What are you waiting for? Let's eat. Foster's, better flavors because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. The Ministry of Environment announces the appointment of 9 members to the Conservation Council. Radio Cayman's Felicia Rankin-Salins reports.
The new board consists of Dr. Ian Kirkham as chairperson, Geddes Hislop, Nicholas Foster, Walling Whitaker, Donald McLean, Harris McCoy, Kathleen Bodden-Harris, Dr. Samantha Shields, and Catherine Childs, all as voting members. The membership of the council consists of 13 voting members, of which 4 are ex officio statutory members representing the government departments of Agriculture, Environment, and Planning. The Department of Environment also provides a non-voting secretary to support the council. There are 8 voting members appointed by the cabinet, of which at least 4 must have relevant scientific or technical expertise, and at least 1 person shall be from each of the following districts: West Bay, Georgetown, Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, Bodden Town, Northside, and East End. Additionally, the National Trust for the Cayman Islands nominates a member who is appointed by the cabinet. The cabinet appointed one of the previous members to serve as the council's chairperson, providing continuity and experience to the new council. Council members will serve for a term of 2 years and may be considered for reappointment prior to the expiry of this term. I'm Felicia Rankin-Salins.
This new board comes after a recent judicial review into a controversial move by the former administration to dismiss members of the National Conservation Council. Back in February, the former sustainability minister announced that 7 members of the board had been replaced. The following week, a lawyer for 2 of those members notified government a pre-action protocol for a judicial review of that decision, describing the appointments as the, quote, latest in a series of efforts by cabinet to weaken the NCC's ability to perform its statutory function of promoting conservation. In this month's civil case, the new cabinet agreed to reconstitute the National Conservation Board and revoke other appointments. One of the members who was appointed and then had that membership revoked is former MP Arden McLean.
I don't know if the cabinet understands what they did and what the consequences of their actions will be for the future ability and authority of Cabinet to make decisions.
Mr. McLean takes issue with the claims in the court case that he and other appointees were, quote, unfit for the NCC positions.
What they did was take the Hansards and cherry-picked the words to make it look like I was not concerned about the environment.
Mr. McLean was speaking right here on Radio Cayman's For the Record. Now, that new board already has a meeting scheduled for June 2nd, and there are two new items on the agenda: the environmental impact assessment screening for the Marriott Coastline Development Project, along with a companion EIA draft motion. Now, this proposed site is located near the southern end of 7 Mile Beach and has seen, quote, significant beach erosion. The project proposal is for beach renourishment works and the construction of coastal defense structures with the aim of restoring the beach directly in front of the Grand Cayman Marriott Resort. The Department of Environment is of the opinion that the proposed development, quote, does not require an EIA as sufficient information has been provided to allow the assessment of the likely adverse effects. The new NCC will then vote on the draft motion based on the DOE's recommendations. You'll be able to watch next week's meeting at 3:15 on the DOE's YouTube channel. Questions or comments to the council can be submitted to the Conservation Council at gov.ky email by May 30th. And in other news, take a moment to look up tonight.
On Tuesday, the 27th of May in the evening, there could be a chance to see a Starship rocket as it makes its way into orbit from Texas.
Astronomical Society President Tyan Miller tells Radio Cayman the rocket is the most powerful type ever built and will be launched on an east-southeast trajectory just north of Cuba sometime between 6:30 and 8:30 tonight.
Now, although it will be further north than Cuba from us when it passes the closest, it's so high that it may be visible. Now, at about 10 minutes after launch, it will be the highest it will appear in our skies at about 16 degrees above the horizon, and that will be to the north. So you may see it going from left to right just below the North Star, which is at 19 degrees above the horizon.
To find out more, head to spacex.com. The launch will be live streamed as well. That's your latest news. I'm Karsley Fuller.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio. The 24th Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts, Joy, is here. Presented by the New Self-Help Foundation, Sunday, June 29th at the Hawkwill Theatre. Awesome performances by actress Caitlin Tyson, Erica Asai, Rico Rolando, Jade Dixon, Williams Quartet, Dequan Smith, UCCI Dance Company, Cayman Music School, Radiance Dance Studio, Centerpoint Dance Studio, John Gray Elite Strings, Lloyd Barker, Ola Jimmy LaPierre, and more. Tickets cost $15 CI prepaid and $20 at the gate, and available from the #1 shoe shop and Winner's Circle Sports. Talent Exposition of the Arts, Joy, hosted by Anika Connolly and Lloyd Barker. June 29th at the Hawkwill Theatre. Gates open at 5 p.m. Show starts at 6 p.m. Part proceeds from this event to benefit the Foundation Educational Development Training Program of the Arts.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands, world-class healthcare within your reach.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcade.
where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 82 degrees. Relative humidity is 89%. The barometric pressure is 30.03 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east at 5 knots. Overnight low temperature was 76 degrees. Synopsis indicate a weak ridge remains across the northwest Caribbean, supporting light to moderate winds and seas today across the Cayman Islands. Further east, a tropical wave currently over the central Caribbean is expected to move over the western Caribbean, leading to possible early morning showers for tomorrow. Radar images show scattered showers in and around the Cayman Islands moving towards the west. Now, the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of afternoon showers. Of course, we had some rain early this morning. Temperatures today will be in the low 90s with a heat index near 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the low 80s tonight. Your winds will be east to southeast 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet as well. High tide will be this morning at a minute after 9, low tide this afternoon at 3:42, and a high tide again tonight at 10:41. The sun will set this evening at 6:57 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:48. And the outlook is calling for generally dry conditions through Thursday evening as a plume of Saharan dust is forecast to move across the western Caribbean. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Britke. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Britke, where people come first.
The Economics and Statistics Office is currently conducting the annual business surveys until June 13th. The surveys collect information to answer questions like, how did the economy perform in 2024? In 2024, how much did foreign companies invest in the Cayman Islands? The surveys include all relevant entities that produce goods and services in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the ESO. Remember, better data, better decisions, better business. For assistance in filling out the forms or for more information, visit eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
And good morning again. Let's take a look this time at what's happening on the roads. Coming from the east, expect steady traffic on the Linford-Pearson Highway. Slow-moving traffic on Crew Road heading to Georgetown. And eastbound traffic on Crew Road is moving on pretty good. Coming off the Bobby Thompson Way, steady traffic as well as Agnes Way. As we look to the Westway Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moving on moderately in both directions, as well as coming from the Westway 4-way stop. Coming off of the Esterly Tibbetts Highway, steady bit flow in traffic and continuing on to North Sound Road. Industrial Park area, traffic is flowing at a moderate pace. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic flowing pretty good in both directions. No issues on Owen Roberts Drive as traffic is light to moderate. And that's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 12:15. We'll give you another look at traffic. Remember, click it or ticket. Have a wonderful morning and drive safe.
Hungry? Need Subway any time of the day?
Yeah.
We've got you covered. Subway at Anderson Square, Centennial Towers, and Countryside Shopping Village is open 24/7, serving up fresh, delicious subs anytime you need them. And for your weekend cravings, West Shore Center is also open 24 hours on Friday nights and until 1 a.m. on Saturdays, because it's never too late for a great meal. Skip the line and order ahead with the Subway Cayman Islands app, or get your favorites delivered straight to your door with Bento and Let's Eat. Fresh, fast, and always here when you need us. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. It's a gorgeous Tuesday, May 27th. Maybe not that pretty when I couldn't sleep in the middle of the night. I got maybe 20 minutes of sleep. The rain came at about 4:45 or so. I could really tell you the exact time because I was like, really? This is the time I'm kind of supposed to be waking up and walking the dog, and, you know, the downpour came, but we needed it. But as soon as I actually did get outside, it was bright and beautiful and sunny once again. So I like it when it rains in the middle of the night, or the middle of the morning, I guess we should say. We are talking about the term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants. So if you were hanging out with me on The Buzz in the first half hour of the show, that is the topic that we were discussing. And I could really barely get into anything. We had one call from a regular caller, and I hope he's going to call back and continue with his thoughts, because I know he had a lot of them, and he only made 2 or really 3 points before we hit the 8 a.m. news. But a few of the things that he said was how I started the show, really. Just to recap, is I introduced the fact that government did announce last Thursday, that there is there's proposed term limits now for non-Caymanian civil servants. And I played about a 6.5 minute clip with the Premier, the Honourable Andre Ebanks, and Deputy Governor Franz Manderson. So we played the clip where you heard what they said, and then we started to unpack what this means for the workforce, the community, the potential benefits, the concerns, and I wanted to hear from the listeners with their perspectives. So when the regular caller did come through, and he said, a couple things, he wasn't sure if there wasn't just a lot of information released in the news announcement, nor in the press release was there even a lot of news given. And if you go to gov.ky/news/news, or just go to gov.ky, you'll see the tab for news, and you will see the press release that is issued there if you need to. Haven't heard the audio clip, even though we played it earlier, don't really know about this term limits that's being proposed for non-Caymanian civil servants, you can read the information in the press release. I will agree with the caller when he said that not a lot of information was given. When does it really start affecting expats that have been on a government contract for a few years now? What are the nuances? And almost like anything kind of new that will be imposed, sometimes we just hear about things and then they just kind of drop it and leave it to cook for a little bit. It's almost like music back in the day. You're waiting to hear something from an artist, your favorite new artist. They're coming out with something and they drop a single. And you're like, oh, I got to hear the whole album. Like, you want more, you need to hear more. I know it's a little different with government. And generally they should come with all the information instead of just bits and pieces here and there. And sometimes they do. Most times they consult with us before they make major changes like this. But as we know, these changes have been proposed in the past. There has been legislation drafted in accordance to term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants. So what we might not know right now, I know all these things will be ironed out in the next coming weeks. As the Premier said, there will be more announcement coming very soon. So if that wasn't already a big one when it comes to immigration reform policy, we're going to be hearing more. Now, I do want to hear what your perspectives are. The numbers to call, to chat with me, and you can hear that my voice is not doing so good. I have to speak in a low tone, because if I speak in a low tone, that means my voice is coming back. But then I feel like it's late night. And this is an early morning show. I don't have my early morning voice. So you got to help me save my voice. Talk to me and let me know what you think. The numbers to call are 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037. And you can WhatsApp call or WhatsApp text us at 925-3261. And again, I do invite our friend to call back with his thoughts. I am going to share some other thoughts here that another listener sent me. They did say, "Good morning. Could you please ask Mr. OC?" Although OC's not here with me this morning, but he will be back on his show For the Record tomorrow morning. So to ask OC now, I said, you know what, OC's going to be listening. So OC, we're asking you, and maybe you can call in, OC, and give me information if you're still listening. As a previous chief immigration officer and cabinet secretary, when the private sector term limits came into effect 20 years ago, if you can tell us the reason why cabinet did not also extend the term limits to the public service. So, allegedly, this was something that was supposed to come into effect 20 years ago, but cabinet, allegedly, chose not to extend term limits to the public service. So, see, that question is actually directed to you, and I'm putting you on the spot wherever you are, on your bike, in the garden, I know, enjoying the outdoors. Let us know, or going to a board meeting, one of the two, which means you're listening. But like a good citizen, you will pull over and call me with that answer, I know. All right, and the listener also went on to say, are we looking at a mass grant of Caymanian status to those civil servants who would already have been in the civil service for, say, 15 years, when the law is proposed to come into effect in January 2026? So those are the comments and the questions from one of the listeners that wanted to share with us this morning as we were talking about the term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants. So, to provide some context, if you didn't hear the audio clip that we played, if you haven't read the press release, and you heard a little bit about it, but you're kind of skirting around, you need to know a little bit more. Cabinet approved drafting instructions to introduce immigration term limits for non-Caymanians working within the civil service. This move aligns the public sector with existing private sector immigration policies, where non-Caymanian workers are subject to a rollover policy after a certain period, which right now is 9 years. Key aspects of the policy include an implementation date of January 1st, 2026 for both existing and new non-Caymanian civil servants. Term limit duration. While the exact duration hasn't been specified, it's expected to mirror the private sector's 9-year limit. Break and stay requirement. After reaching the term limit, non-Caymanian civil servants must leave the islands for at least 2 years before being eligible for re-employment. Caymanian-only positions. Certain roles will be designated exclusively for Caymanians to strengthen local career paths. Succession planning. Contracts will include terms requiring the training and development of Caymanian professionals to ensure a smooth transition and knowledge transfer. Safeguards. Exemptions will be in place to uphold the independence of the judiciary and maintain continuity in critical sectors like education, policing, and social services. Premier Andre Ebanks stated, "The changes initiate one of the aims of our government to reform immigration policy in this country. We are moving words into action. These changes are pro-Caymanian, prepared in consultation with the civil service, as our aim is to work in partnership." Now let's look at some of the supporting viewpoints to this immigration reform. The first one is, it is prioritizing Caymanian employment. The policy aims to create more opportunities for Caymanians in the civil service by limiting the tenure of non-Caymanian workers. The alignment with national immigration policy. Extending the rollover policy to the public sector promotes consistency in immigration practices across sectors. 3. Succession planning and training. Mandating the development of Caymanian professionals ensures a sustainable and locally driven civil service. 4. Safeguards for essential services. Exemptions are in place to ensure that critical services remain uninterrupted during the transition. Fulfilling electoral promises. This move fulfills a campaign promise made by the National Coalition for Caymanians during the 2025 elections, or when the government came into play after Election Day. The opposing perspectives. The policy has raised some concerns, and those include 1. The loss of institutional knowledge. There is apprehension about the departure of experienced non-Caymanian civil servants, leading to gaps in expertise and service delivery. There is the potential impact on service quality. The transition may affect the quality and efficiency of public services if replacements are not adequately trained. 3. There's challenges in talent acquisition. Term limits might deter skilled professionals from considering civil service roles, impacting the government's ability to attract top talent where needed. The implementation and transition concerns. There's questions arising about the readiness of the civil service to implement the policy without negatively impacting operations. Another concern is also the perception of discrimination. The policy may be viewed as targeting non-Caymanians, potentially affecting workplace morale and cohesion. So those are some of the concerns that the policy has raised. We talked about some of the supporting perspectives and some of the concerns. I think we have a caller. Did I hear that? Oh, OC has called in. See, to our listener who said, please ask OC the question. I'm like, I'm just going to pose it to OC because I know he's listening. So OC, I got you. You heard me this morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Kathy. I'm fine and welcome back.
Thank you. How was hosting the show for me?
Excellent. Actually enjoyed it. Of course, I thought that, maybe the listening audience and viewing audience would have probably got tired of hearing my voice on Radio Cayman because I was doing my show, I was doing The Buzz, I was doing Talk Today on certain afternoons as well. And I need to say kudos to Charlo as well, for the sterling job that he is doing as well. Pardon the pun.
Right. But, I heard the pun.
The sterling job that he's doing as well. But I understand that my name has been invoked this morning, so that's why I called in.
It has. Did somebody tell you, or did you just heard it on the radio?
No. I was listening for a while, and when you went to the news, I went I went a little bit farther away from my Wi-Fi. Gotcha. Because I'm always looking up in the air. I'm looking at all of my fruit trees, my mango trees, to see how fit they're coming along. I believe that my next door neighbors must think that I'm crazy or something like that. They're probably wondering why I'm looking up in the sky all the time.
I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. I'm thinking about Elon Musk and his exploding spaceships now with that. I'm waiting for my mango bag, so whenever you're ready, I know I'm ready. Me and my dog are ready. So there was a question. So we're talking about the term limits posed for non-Caymanian civil servants. And one of the listeners, they had via WhatsApp, they sent a message and they said, could you please ask Mr. OC, a previous chief immigration officer and previous cabinet secretary, when the private sector term limits came into effect 20 years ago, if he can tell us the reason why cabinet did not also extend the term limits to the public service?
Well, I think the first thing that people have to realize is that the civil service has always been the preserve under the Constitution, based on our Constitution, has always been the preserve of the governor, and responsibility for the civil service has been delegated to the deputy governor as well. So in the past, I would say that it is quite possible that the governors that we had, the public, the senior civil servants that we had, were probably not as receptive to the whole notion of term limits in the public sector. And we also have to look at the period of time that we're talking about as well, when employment in the private sector was certainly much more attractive and much more lucrative. It is only since the introduction of mandatory health insurance and things of that nature, right, that you see people starting to wanting to gravitate more towards government employment, simply because all of those things are covered by government as opposed to in the private sector. And of course, in the private sector, when you for healthcare and pensions and all of those things, your pension is only an annuity, so you get it only for a certain period of time, and your healthcare is likely to stop unless you are in some agreement to for it to continue and you to pay for it. So at that time, the private sector was certainly much more attractive. So the pressures on government and government's ability to attract employees were not the same as it is today. I think also people need to bear in mind that even before 20 years ago, there was a term limit policy for work permit holders as well. I think it was called, I'm trying to remember the section, but it was something 1C, but it was targeted for basically one nationality, unfortunately, and it probably wouldn't be accepted today in the day and age where we have Bill of Rights and everything. But it was targeted towards Jamaicans because Jamaicans at that time were the largest number of work permit holders in the Cayman Islands. So you had to leave at that point in time. I believe it was then you had to leave for 6 months, and then we also had these percentage where one nationality could not exceed another nationality by a certain amount. So we had, various complicated formulas and everything, but we did have something even before 20 years ago. But again, to answer your question, the pressures on government were not the same then as they are now. Private sector was certainly much more attractive, and also, as far as the acquisition of Caymanian status and permanent residency were concerned, they were slightly different then as well. So several factors, have to do with it. But the main one being that, as still exists today, the civil service is the preserve of the governor, delegated to the deputy governor. And I would say that we are fortunate this time around that we have a governor and a head of the civil service who is receptive to the government's proposals. And we also have a government now that has made election promises and are resolute in terms of ensuring that their promises are kept.
Thank you, OC. I appreciate you calling back and giving your information, because you know that I'm not going to have it. So, and who better than you? Well, I mean, come on, who better than you, former chief immigration officer and cabinet secretary? I think between those two roles, you held them for about 30 years or so. You could tell me it might be longer. So,
I spent 20 years from 1983 to 2003. As in the immigration department, and from 1996-97 until 2003, I was chief immigration officer, and then 10 years as cabinet secretary.
Yeah, see, there you go. You are the man with all the knowledge. That this is who we go to. And thank you so much to our listener who knew to say, hey, let's go see if you can remember this from 20 years ago, why cabinet didn't approve the extension of the term limits to the public sector. So thank you for answering that listener's questions. We got a couple more callers on hold right now. I have to go to a real quick commercial break to our callers, so please hang on. I'm going to take your calls as soon as the commercial break is over. It's a quick break, I promise.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The new KFC nuggets have arrived. That unlike the no-gets. Ours are handmade using 100% white meat, unlike the no-gets. At KFC, we hand-bread every day to achieve the perfect flavor. After you try our delicious and crispy nuggets in the original recipe, you'll never settle for less. KFC, the real nuggets. It's finger-licking good.
For the Health of It, heard on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and repeated on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. is brought to you by The Light Room. Tired of being unwell and struggling to find the energy and vitality to live the life you desire? Come get recharged from the inside out at The Light Room. Our non-invasive, holistic energy enhancement system detoxifies and energizes the body, enabling self-healing and balance. Book online at www.thelightroom.ky or call 938-HEAL, 38 Pasadora Place, GT.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
All right. Thanks for tuning into The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller. We do have 2 callers online with us still. Thank you so much, callers, for hanging out during the convo I just had with OC and the commercial break we just went through. And thanks for calling to The Buzz. Share with me your thoughts this morning. Good morning. How you doing?
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Morning, Mom. I'm good. This is Elvis Lakiba here, calling from the Bronx.
Oh, good to hear from you, sir. Good to hear from you. I'm a little under the weather, but trying to get over it.
Oh, you're not under the weather like me, but yeah, okay. I will listen to Brother OC. OC is kind of diplomatic with the truth, kind of reserved with it, you know. Me, I'm a realist. Come and tell you what happened to the civil servant. When I moved back to the Bronx in 1988, I was trying to get a job as a carpenter. I was a really good carpenter. And I was told that, you know, by me being in trouble, smoking marijuana, you really wasn't fit for government work and blah, 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 blah. And you had certain people from my section of the island, the eastern section, where the niggers come from. They didn't want them there. And one of the reasons they didn't want them there because they wanted to keep a certain section of the Cayman society in the civil servants. But the little black children was learning and getting brighter than the little Puerto Rican and so-called white ones. So as the civil servants evolved, the white people some of them got dumber, some of them got smarter, but the little Afrikaner like me, we started to get better, and we was kept out of there purposely because we could take away their jobs. Hence, that's where the expatriate came in now. Now listen to me. The English man, he could work in the civil servant forever. American, Canadians, because that's the breed we wanted. Now, the little colored Caymanians that was going to college and getting their education like OC. OC slipped through the cracks. You hear? You listen to me, ma?
I'm listening to you.
Good. OC slipped through the cracks. So, as it evolved now...
How you mean he slipped through the cracks? Can you clarify that? What do you mean he slipped through the cracks?
Because at the time when OC got that position, Miss asked OC how many black people that was in his position. It was unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
It was unheard of, ma'am.
Okay, that's what you mean. Okay.
Go in the archives. It was unheard of with black Georgetowner.
I believe you. Trust me, I believe you.
Huh?
I believe you.
Ma'am, I am 67 years old. I spent 31 years on Mayo Street, you know. I mean, I didn't come in. I've been in this country a little while. And now, when they couldn't control the little black ones like OC because he had a brain and he had a will. And where there's a will, there is a way. So they started to hire the Jamaicans, the Jamaicanos. Now they could control them. Now you don't give me no problem or you're not going to have your job. And you can stay there and do as you're told forever, but you're not getting no promotion. My cousin can get this, even if they can't do the job, you show them what to do, and they're getting it. No. The nepotism is coming to an end. So, Mr. Andre and his government said their elite crew, which is only fair. What's good for one's good for all. But now they see that the expats, the Jamaican, the Indian, the Guyanese, the Honduran, all of them that are working hard and don't think that the country owes them anything, they just want to make a decent living. They are a threat. They are a threat to the top-notch civil servants. They're a threat to them. So when something is a threat to you, you got to do something about it. Eliminate it, stop it, whatever. But you see, 20 years ago, they didn't dream that it was going to be like this. And now that the pay scale is so nice in the civil service, they say, you know something? Boy, them Jamaicans clogging up the system, the Indians clogging up, the blah, blah, blah. We got to get our Caymanians back in there. Are you still with me?
I'm with you.
Well, miss, let me tell you something. When I throw my corn, I don't call no forward, but you can tell you what Elvis Jeffrey McKeever just told you. That is sure as the sun is shining. And you can ask the governor, you can ask Mr. Andre, OC, you can ask any of them, but they're not going to tell you the truth because it's one thing that every government in this world is lacking. There's no government in the world that has a musician in it. Because we sing for the gods, we appease the God. Because a musician has righteousness in his heart, and he brings it out in his melody and in his words. And that is what is happening now. But you see, remember this, the stone that the builder refused shall become the head cornerstone. You know the song that all the one sings? God say the precious queen, God say the precious king now. Mm-hmm. You know what's saving the king now? Ganja oil. That was saving the king. Ganja is saving the king. Have a nice day, Mom. Thank you.
You too. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. That was an interesting call. Some interesting ideas and thoughts shared and perspective and a little bit of history right there shared by Elvis in the Brack. Yes, we know he is happy about the vote yes to decriminalization of ganja. Elvis, I wanted to ask you about that, but you hung up the phone too quick. I think we do got another call as well. Thank you to this caller. You've been holding on forever. I wish I had something to give you for that. Thank you. Good morning. Thanks for calling The Buzz.
Good morning, Miss Kathy. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Not bad. Another day of our lives with the young and the restless. My goodness. Kathy, Miss Kathy? Hello?
Yeah, I'm right here.
You know, I do a little bit of music myself, you know, and we can't expect that the government is going to drop the album, I mean, just right away. You know that.
I know that.
You know they got to drop a little single here and there and do a little PR and all that kind of stuff. And
They're not Beyonce. Trust me, I know that.
I'm telling you, you know what I say. At least you smiling at it. You're smiling and happy, confident. I'm sure you're confident because I think you know that you're confident that the government knows what they're doing. I believe they know what they're doing, and I don't think that we should criticize them, to be quite honest. You know, it's only been, it hasn't even been a month and a half yet. I don't think that they've been in, right?
It's been 3 weeks. What are you talking about, a month and a half? I was gone for 2 weeks and they dropped this bomb. I didn't think anything was going to happen in those 2 weeks. I thought it was going to be peaceful. We're going to catch up on our sleep. Nope.
Yeah, as one of the singers would say, drop it like it's hot.
Mm-hmm, yes.
My goodness.
They really did.
So we gotta. I know. I believe in them. You know. I believe in them. You know, Miss Gata. I have examined the representatives, and I think they're quite brilliant. I think they're very smart and very intelligent people. And I don't think that it's anything negative about it. You know, they gotta try to do what they can for us, the people, and I think they're gonna be fair to the expats as well as Caymanians, and then you know how that is already. You know, you gotta try to please all the people. You got to be fair. You got to remember human rights laws and all that sort of stuff. And then you got to create opportunities for your people as well as, because they're still creating opportunities for expats, you know, because they give them good time to you know, to enjoy their work and you know, as an expat, you got to save your money and you got to think about the rollover process and that space of time in between, because right now you know me and you know that a lot of expat people have it better than quite a lot of Caymanians, because you know, they get that time where they can work for that long length of time, and then they go home. It's like a vacation, you know. You go home for one year, and then you come back, and your job is still there. So, you know, sometimes you get things going your way for quite a few times. You know, you have feasts, and then you got famine in life. So a lot of Caymanians been having their little farming, you know, where they haven't been getting employment, and I mean I got foreigners in my family. I got a lot of Caymanians in my family as well. I'm on both sides, so I can, you know, relate to that as well, but. You know, I think that they're going to be fair. I believe in what they're doing. I believe in our government. I think they're going to do their best to put a smile on everyone's face. You know, I think so. I believe that.
I hope so too. I think so as well. So you are for this term limit for non-Caymanians in the civil service. You support it.
You know, Ms. Cather, I'll be honest with you, Ms. Cather. I'll be honest with you. I believe in it. Like I said, sometimes in life you gotta accept the peace while it's there, and you gotta accept the famine.
Mm-hmm.
I worked when I was growing up. I could have gotten jobs that were paying big, but I love to work for the people that I was working for, and I worked for less. I worked for small money. It wasn't the feast. It was small money, but I just loved the job. And when you got little, you got to give God thanks.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree with you on that. We got to go to a break. I do have another caller on the line, so I got to go to a quick commercial break, and then I'm going to take that next caller.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or belly fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman. The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and in studio it's just me. I'm talking to our listeners as we are discussing the term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants that has been proposed as an immigration reform policy. I believe we still have one of our callers on the line with us. Good morning. Thanks for calling The Buzz, and thanks for waiting.
Yes, good morning, Miss Kathy.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I was hearing that you wasn't feeling so good this morning.
That's right. You can hear it in my voice, I think.
Yeah, hopefully I could help you a little bit with that. I give a little advice. I love a herbal remedy.
All right, let's hear it. Between you and Susan now, who's going to come up with the better one?
You need oregano tea. You need some oregano tea, just put
oregano.
That nice and strong. Yeah, just get the leaf and just drop that inside of some hot water, some boiled water, and just mix that up. If you want, put a little bit of brown sugar in that. Hopefully that can clear you up in a couple of days if you just continuously drinking it, clear you out like completely, like you wouldn't even feel like you had anything. If you're under the weather, this is a good thing. I do it all the time, and it's actually my daughter's favorite tea right now.
Oregano tea. See, I thought you were going to tell me some fever grass, which I'm about to tell Susan I need to get some fever grass too.
That's my new
She's my fever grass plug.
Oregano is my new favorite thing now. You just get the leaf. Even if you get the leaf and you wash it good, you just chew that up and swallow it, and you're good to go, and you can take that throughout the day with you. But,
okay. Well, I'll try that. Yeah. I haven't heard oregano yet.
Yep, it's a good thing.
Thank you.
I agree with the new term limit proposal thing. To be honest with you, I'm not in any concern negatively about it, because I think it could be structured in a way that it could definitely future-proof us Caymanians on our own island. And I share almost same opinions with what Mr. Elvis was talking about as well. because, being in Cayman, being Caymanian, like, you have some nations out there that go through some post-traumatic stress, and almost everywhere you go, they have post-traumatic stress, and in the people, especially the natives, that they had to go through certain situations. And really and truly, I think it's very fair. I think that it's the right and peaceful way of solving and defending something, because we could just be in a disagreement, or another country might just be in a disagreement and want to send the first bomb. That how we have certain countries out there that would start a war through displacement and all these different type of stuff. And I think that is pretty fair that Caymanians have been pushed aside for too long, been discussed a lot, and I don't think there's any confusion towards any decisions that are being made right now. People that are in confusion or in panic might be concerned in some way that because maybe they were doing something that wasn't the right way. In my opinion, if you're doing something right, you wouldn't have no concerns at all in anything that you're doing wrong, if you're doing anything wrong. So I think it's just a peaceful thing. It's not throwing any protests. I think everybody would be in a agreement on what's going on. It's nothing too hard to think about. We've been doing the thinking too long. Now we need to see action. We need to see a lot of actions now.
So I want to... Oh, sorry. Keep going.
No, I just say I think we would appreciate to see the actions.
And this is one of the actions that you appreciate seeing.
So far. I actually like that we're going into a direction now where there's going to be only positions and jobs that are for only Caymanians.
What jobs do you think those will be?
Well, for starters, we need the civil service fully Caymanized.
Why?
I've always believed to be policed by people that I know versus someone that's coming from a complete different ideology and demographic responsibility, because some people only know through violence. Like if you go to India, the beating goes on and on. If you go to Syria, those places like that, it's not the same like how you have it here in Cayman. They have people that are raised in a complete different environment. And like I said, naturally, I believe that the Caymanians should be making Caymanian decisions, not foreigners. And I believe that it's no one better to enforce a policy that is for Caymanians than a Caymanian.
Okay.
And I don't know how anyone can strongly argue about that, because if you believe that the French can go and invade a certain country, or the British can go and invade a certain country and be okay with it, that the people of the indigenous people of the island or countries that they are going is going to be okay with it, like as if they were dependent or as if they didn't have a choice because of brute force. I don't believe that that's fair. That's actually pretty cannibalistic if I would think dark.
Right. But what was the only country in the world that revolted and was successful in fighting off colonization? Haiti. Haiti did that to France. Haiti revolted and fought back to France, and then for how many thousands of years did France hold Haiti in debt? And allegedly Haiti just paid off that debt. And Haiti, once the most prosperous country in the Caribbean, period, the main port in the Caribbean to come to the West, period, to come to the West. Haiti was destroyed and crippled ever since they revolted as slaves and took back their power in their country. Haiti was positioned and cut off from the rest of the Americas and the Caribbean, other surrounding Caribbean nations, because it was threatened to them by the colonizers. If you dare help Haiti, who revolted and won, if you dare help Haiti, we will cut you off too. And from cutting off a country like Haiti, they crippled that country to the state that it is at today. That's just an example of what happens when you do revolt and you do get away with it, or you're successful in it, as you should be successful in it. But the colonizers always find a way.
Well, if you would like to think about it this way, then when the help needed by the Haitians, they needed help when they had the natural disasters of the earthquake that had happened, and when they had got the assistance that they needed but were I don't know if I should use the word abused, and then lost trust in the person that helped feed them because of certain abuse. I believe that that is one of those type of traumas that we would be talking about in this instance, like how Jamaica does not, or at least how Jamaica is very serious about the Haitian immigrants, like how we are with the Cuban immigrants. And I believe that it's our right to defend among ourselves that we take care of our own people because of certain groups that have almost lost their human nature. I'm not saying that anyone is not human, but has lost their human nature. They've lost their morals and need a cleansing. A cleansing, maybe it's by feelings, maybe they need the support. But what about the people that cannot help at the moment? We need to help ourselves before we can help others.
I agree with that. I agree with that statement. I have a question for you. I know sometimes you call in, we have discussions, right? So my question for you is, do you enjoy calling in and talking to me once in a while about whatever topic we might be batting around?
I enjoy talking to anybody that's willing to listen and not feel offended by the truth.
Okay. So if you call in and you chat with me every once in a while, that means sometimes you enjoy talking with me and we're talking about the truth, we're sharing our perspectives. I'm not Caymanian. So in saying that the civil service should be 100% Caymanianized, it would be somebody like me. I'm not Caymanian. I'd be out. I'd be gone. So I think that it's an interesting viewpoint that you share, but also, do I want to work with somebody that's just all Canadians? For me, it's absolutely no. I know so many Caymanians that don't want to work with just only Caymanians. You know, I would want other perspectives, other worldly looks, other influences to come out, other ways of thinking, other mindsets. I would want to learn from other ways as well. That's just my response to that. They're not looking to make the civil service 100% Caymanianized. It's just term limits for non-Caymanians. That's all it is. We got to go to the 9 a.m. news. Thank you, caller, for your thoughts. We have a lot of messages that have come in through WhatsApp. We're going to continue discussion after the 9 a.m. news, and you can call me with your thoughts. I'll give you the numbers as soon as the news break is over.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
The Cayman Islands continues to mourn the loss of longtime public servant Ernie Scott, who was laid to rest on Saturday, leaving behind a, quote, legacy of leadership, service, and deep commitment to the sister islands. Beginning his public service career in 1973, he rose through the ranks of the civil service and was appointed district commissioner in 2007, a position he held with distinction until his retirement in 2021. There's a, quote, big question over how a car was able to plow into a crowd during Liverpool FC's Premier League victory parade, according to the mayor. Almost 50 people were injured, including 4 people who he described as, quote, very, very ill. The king says he's, quote, deeply shocked, while Prince William, who's a patron of football, says, quote, what should have been a joyful celebration has ended with tragedy. The former Liverpool FC boss Jurgen Klopp says he and his family are, quote, shocked and devastated. A 53-year-old white British man believed to be the driver of the vehicle has since been arrested. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and it is a beautiful day out there, Tuesday, May 27th, although I've been in the studio since about 7 a.m., so I hope the weather hasn't changed from the beautiful sun that I walked out into this morning. Now, we do have a caller that called back. Thank you, caller. But before I go to that caller, I'm going to read a couple of the WhatsApp messages that have come in. One says, good morning. All the things you mentioned are normal concerns, but we have to try and do our best on all concerns mentioned. Now, the concerns that listener is alluding to is about the concerns about the immigration reform policy on imposing term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants. Some of the concerns that I'd mentioned, I'm just going to really quickly mention them again, were the loss of institutional knowledge, the apprehension of experienced non-Caymanian civil servants leading to gaps in expertise and service delivery, the potential impact on service quality, challenges in talent acquisition, implementation and transition concerns, and the perception of discrimination in the workforce now. I do believe we have another caller coming in through WhatsApp. So that was what they were alluding to. There is another message that we received about the civil service rollover for non-Caymanians. It should be borne in mind that some nationalities here do not give up their true allegiance to their original country. That is a fact, and since one man cannot serve two masters, this is a problem. That's interesting. That was an interesting comment because there are several countries that allow for dual citizenship, Canada being one of them. There is another comment that came in via WhatsApp, and it says, the civil servants are paid on par, and in some instances, even more than the private sector. I would like to know what jobs those are. I really would. Would it be fair to consider that they contribute to their pension and health benefits? We do contribute to our pension and health. There's the employee contributions as civil servants, so I hope that answers that. I believe we have one caller on WhatsApp, and I think another was trying to come in, but the other WhatsApp caller, we need to let this guy go first. We can't have two calls on WhatsApp. It'll cancel each other out. So good morning. Thank you for calling The Buzz.
Good morning. Am I the one who is on?
You are the one that's on. Welcome back. Thanks for coming an hour later to finish your thoughts. I appreciate you remembering me.
Well, first of all, you're very kind to ask me to call back. So I thought, I might as well continue to make my contribution towards resting your voice. So that's the way I see my calls.
Thank you. So kind.
First of all, there's a call, I think 2 or 3 callers before, who thought that this is all going to be resolved in a manner that is pleasing to everybody. But I admire the optimism of that caller. But the immediate past caller, the one who talked about that only Caymanians should work in government. I agree with you. I think a lot of us are better off when we work in an environment where we can learn from people in other parts of the world or people with a different background. I think the problem in Cayman really is that there are certain departments where basically the whole department virtually is run by people from totally another country. I think to me that's more what if you consider it to be a problem, that would be a problem, because in every government you want the local people to be the principal people in charge.
Wait, which department? Which department did you mention?
Well, I didn't want to mention a department, but if you ask for one,
yes, I'm asking for. I thought you mentioned one, so yes. Well, what would that be?
Portfolio of legal affairs has got hardly any Caymanian lawyers. Hardly. They are mostly from Jamaica and Eastern Caribbean. I'm not saying that that's a problem in itself. I'm just saying that when you have in a key department like that, the majority for the last 20 years since I was there, the majority were all non-Caymanians. Like the particular department I was in, there was not a single Caymanian. Even now, I think there's only one. I think that's an issue you want to address, but you don't want to make it exclusive and say we do not want foreigners in any department. I don't think that is right, so I agree with you.
But wait, can I ask you a question there? So legal affairs. So if you're talking about there's hardly any Caymanian lawyers in there, that's what you mentioned, right? Now, is that because I'm going to go to talent acquisition here, and what OC, when OC called in and said previously the private sector pay was a lot more attractive. I am under the assumption that in the legal world, private sector pay is much more attractive than government pay is in the legal portfolio. And on top of that, you get bonuses after bonuses in the private sector, which makes me want to change my whole career. If I had the patience.
I think yours is more glamorous. I would have wanted to do your job, but I don't have the glamour and the grace that you might have. So
I'm motivated by money, not glamour. Glamour doesn't pay, my friend. But that could be one thing. So maybe the Caymanians that are qualified lawyers are looking to go. Why would they want to work for government if it's a lower paying? And from my understanding, a lot of the jobs in government are lower paying than the private sector. There's just the benefits and the stability within government. I've had so many Caymanian friends tell me that government is their retirement plan. They don't want to work in government in their 20s and 30s and 40s. They consider it their retirement plan. Before I get back to that, I can't resist saying one thing. You know the old line from the old song, "Our love don't pay the rent." So I guess it's the same philosophy. Right. But let me. You are quite correct. In the legal profession in particular, if you go out in private practice and you are successful, yes, you can make much more. But I think at the end of the day, there would be nothing wrong with government pursuing it as a policy that they want certain people in, like certain departments, to have like predominantly Caymanians. I know, for example, I certainly know in Ontario. And I think in federal Canada as well, you cannot work in a capacity where you write legislation unless you are a Canadian citizen, because there are certain particular jobs which they consider to be very sensitive. They want people whose allegiance they can rely upon. But that is not universal, of course. It's just for certain particular jobs. But let me go back to this issue about term limits on something which has been very much misunderstood. You see, it is being said that, well, they do not want to apply these new term limits to people who are working in government because that would make it retroactive. 2 points about that. First point, if you say that something, that you want to pass a law that is retroactive, government is free to do that, and there is the Constitution doesn't prevent that. All the international human rights instruments don't prevent that. You can make laws that are retrospective. What the courts insist on is that if you want to make a law which is retrospective, they won't lightly imply that into the law. They want it to be clear that you want to make it with retrospective effect. So that's the first thing. But secondly, even if government were to decide today that they want to apply this new rule to people who are already in government, that would be legally fine. Okay, it would not be retrospective, that's one. And secondly, it would be fine if they wanted to do it. Let me give you an example.
Right now in the Constitution, you cannot stand for election unless you are 21 years old. Let us imagine tomorrow they amended the law and they said you have to be 25 years old. And let us imagine that when you were 20 years old, you announced that you wanted to run as soon as you turned 21. Are you going to say, well, the law has been amended, but it doesn't apply to me because I had already declared my intention to run? No, the law doesn't work like that. In a lot of areas, the law changes in midstream, and if it changes in midstream, you are supposed to comply with it. So people should not be misled by saying that, you know, if these rules were to be applied to people who are in government, like there will be something illegal about it. There's nothing illegal. But if government doesn't want to do so, as a matter of policy, they can do so. But they should not cite a legal impediment. They should not say, oh, we can't do it because of the law. It's not because of the law. You can do that and it will be legally effective. I was also disappointed that they never said anything in the announcement about the Public Service Management Act. The Public Service Management Act says that as a Caymanian, you will only be given preference if your qualifications are roughly at the same level as a foreign person. That doesn't give Caymanians any advantage. What it should say very clearly is that if there is a Caymanian who is qualified and has applied for a job, unless there are some other problems regarding performance, that person must be given the job, even if there is somebody from another country who is 2 or 3 times more qualified. That's the way all other countries do it. And to me, I would have hoped that, especially that they were announcing specifically about government, they should have made an announcement in relation to that. And this is a point, again, which has been made many, many years. Government needs to address this. They should stop avoiding it. If I still have time, judicial exemptions. I think it is wrong for government to exempt the judiciary from rollover. One of the problems that exists in Cayman is that you do not have in Cayman, there's not a single Caymanian in the who is a judge of the Grand Court. I think there is one in the magistrates' courts who is Caymanian, but there's not one single judge who is Caymanian. I was hoping that Ms. Suzanne Bothwell was going to be a judge, especially when in the last 12 months one position opened up. But then, I don't know, maybe she didn't apply for it. It went to somebody from the UK, and now she is leaving the judiciary. There is no reason to exempt the judiciary. In fact, at the moment, they even have acting judges sometimes who come and act only for particular cases or for 2 or 3 years and so on. So there is no reason why in that particular area there should be an exemption. If anything, they can give them contracts if they want for 8 years before they are rolled over. In fact, there will be better judges if they are rolled over, because then they are not still looking for a job. The problem you'll find in the Cayman Islands, and I have a case before the Court of Appeal right now, which I'm fighting, part of the reason is because the judges who are asked to adjudicate in cases are looking for a renewal of a contract. And that's why very often they are not very fair if you are a member of the public and they're adjudicating in a case involving the public. So I just hope that all these issues will be dealt with. I was hoping, by the way, OC, that he was going to say something about what the deputy governor might have said at the town hall last night, but maybe we'll have to wait for that one. Oh, one other little thing. You know, the exemptions, they have to find a way to ensure that exemptions, the structure of exemptions, they have to ensure that if you are applying for an exemption, it should not go to an individual, it should go to a body which should be able to look at things and decide, because otherwise the exemptions will become the rule, and at the end of the day, the whole thing will not work very well. Ultimately, there is much more that remains to be done. At the moment, what they have announced at the moment, I don't think will affect any fundamental change. I thank you, Kathy.
Thank you so much for calling back and finishing your thoughts with us. I appreciate it. And I did not ask OC if he had listened to the town hall yesterday. I forgot about that, but I did call him out on radio because a listener posed a question towards him from his experience as former chief immigration officer and cabinet secretary, and when OC was there.
Yes, thank you.
No problem at all. All right. So thank you again for the call there and sharing your thoughts. And I know that we have another call coming in via WhatsApp, and hopefully we can take that as well. And Susan is also about to send me a private member's motion to read. I tried to read it on the other phone. I couldn't, so I'm just waiting to get that private member's motion to read as well, that I believe has something to do with term limits being imposed for non-Caymanians previously as well. So hopefully I'll get that info and share with you, and I believe right now we might have another caller on WhatsApp. Good morning. Thank you for calling The Buzz. Oh, no, we don't. Oh, we did. I saw the call coming in. All right. Okay, so we spoke about it's been a while, but I gave some supporting viewpoints towards having term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants. I gave opposing perspectives on term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants. And I'm going back to my notes here and saying, in a Compass article that was published online yesterday asking attorneys to weigh in on the new policy, immigration lawyer Nick Joseph commented, quote, "I do think that basic fairness demands that we implement and maintain rules that are appropriate and proportionate and can be applied fairly and consistently to everyone." The Premier further stated that the National Coalition for Caymanians will be also moving private sector immigration reform forward as a priority. It is expected that the proposed 2-year rollover policy in the public sector will also be mirrored in immigration reforms for the private sector. So instead of the current 1-year rollover in the private sector, it is expected that the 2-year rollover policy in the public sector for the non-Caymanian civil servants will be mirrored in immigration reforms in the private sector. I believe we do have a call on WhatsApp now. Let us take that caller. Good morning. Thank you for calling The Buzz.
Hello, good morning, Ms. Catherine. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Fabian here.
I know your voice. You good?
Okay, how are you? Good.
I'm all right, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you enjoy your R&R, your rest vacation. That's good. Well deserved. I heard that you're under the weather, so you need turmeric, ginger, and garlic, honey.
There we go. All right. That'll
lick everything.
That's what I'm hearing for.
Everything.
All right. That'll lick everything out.
Miss Catherine, definitely. I be keep up with me now, but I go change lanes a little bit, but you see the immigration reform strategy. It's obviously designated for Caymanians, right? And I'm aware from 2005, that's two decades that been implemented, right? 2005 to 2009, the leader of government business, Carter Bits. 2009, UDP, Michael Bush, premier, right? 70 Sir Alden, right? 21, Wayne Panton, part government, and reshuffle back to Juliana, okay? Now Andre is the premier now. So, Captain, like, my advice for you, you need to have the government in studio with you and the opposition. Right? They get their perspective.
They will not come on together. I'm going to tell you that right now. Opposition and head of government will not come on together.
No. I mean, not together. I mean,
I would like
occasion.
that.
I mean, not together, obviously. I mean, different occasion.
Yeah.
It's a polemical controversy, and you need to decipher.
Can I foreshadow? Can I foreshadow and tell you that the premier has agreed to come on for next Thursday?
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And if it's possible, get Mr. Hugh also too. Like do the pipeline, Mr. Hugh. Okay, Ms. Carter.
Yes.
Apparently, the former minister, McLean, Arthur McLean, he won radio with OC in talking about the boards and the reshuffle, right? And I feel the passion because he's the action man. I feel the passion, right? The whole proposition, right? Is it unpleasant? Is it negative? Because I have a civil matter coming up in a couple hours' time. And do you know the civil matter court, right? The preponderance of that is a probability, right? Not certainty, right? Okay, so my situation now, Kathy, right? Like, you always have incarcerated, right? I'm incarcerated, right? And
you were.
My situation was, I was, thank God, right? And I'm liberated. But obviously, the plaintiff over time and time again. He's a very reactive abuser, right? And he bullied my mother over the years. And we know provocation by another twofold aggravation. When I was in Fairbanks, I got injured from the plaintiff and his cousin at 7 times for raping a 10-year-old child. They activate the camera, right? And I had good evidence. Don't think I pled guilty, right? But my thing was self-defense, right? So for 2001, this man went to our building, tried to obtain my mother's property, right? And I have a board to pick the prison and parole board, right? And I hope this sit government opposition reshuffle a lot of things, revamp a lot of things, right? And dissipate a lot of things with certain boards, especially at Home Affairs, with the Conditions Release Board. They put that plug, because a lot of nepotism to going on. The last time when you say situation, when you say predicament, I know the time wrapping up, Mom.
Yeah, sorry, gotta wrap you. We have another call to get to too, so sorry.
Okay, but I finalized. No, I spent $4,000 on my property. I told her, I did get to her verbatim, Brother Hernandez, 2017. I spent $4,000 on my fence, the back alignment, front veranda, and back patio to separate us, right, from the plaintiff. But I go to court now, later on, and decipher what I decipher. But Ms. Catherine, the time being, get the government on, they can say Thursday coming on, and the opposition. It's a mirror line. We see different perspective. You have a good day, okay? You drive safe.
You too. Thank you so much. Thank you. And Susan said there's a final break, but I just kind of laughed at her. We have a message that came in as well. Thank you to our caller as well just now. Can you find out how this new policy affects ministers of religion? There's a major shortage of Caymanian ministers, and I am just wondering if there are any provisions for their exemption. Well, this is for civil servants only. So unless you are a minister that is also a civil servant, you would not be affected by this policy. I hope that there we have another incoming call via WhatsApp. I think it was that same. We're gonna take a really quick little break here, and then we'll take that call that just came in.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Can you tell me what does a turtle do on his birthday? He celebrates! Celebrate your loved one's special birthday with a birthday shout-out live on For the Record with Mr. Oret Connor, only on Radio Cayman. WhatsApp your loved one's name to 925-3261. That's 925-3261. Radio Cayman's birthday shout-outs live on For the Record with Mr. Oret Connor every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Brought to you by Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands. From Tortuga Wholesalers. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. And by Yum. Daily school menus are available. YumCayman.ky. The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we do have another caller on WhatsApp to get to. I have also a private member's motion to read, and after that, a couple more things to wrap up before the show is over. So good morning, caller. Thanks for calling The Buzz.
Yes, good morning.
How are you doing?
Okay, and you?
I'm good, thank you. What's on your mind today?
Okay, I have a question. What percentage out of 100 do you think should be Caymanians working in the working for government?
What percentage I think? I think it should be a
Yes.
majority of Caymanians, for sure, working in government.
Out of 100%.
In every industry in Cayman, I think it should be a majority.
Yeah, and out of 100% of all the civil servants working for the government, how many of them out of that percentage, how much percentage do you think out of 100 should be Caymanians?
How much percent do I think should be Caymanians? I mean, I said a majority, so... and a majority could be anyone from 51% and over, but I think a lot more than 50% for sure. Right now, it is currently 70% of Caymanians that work within the civil service. 30% of them are non-Caymanian.
Hello?
Hello, I'm right here.
70% Caymanians now, you said, right?
No, yes, right now it's 70% Caymanians.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't go any lower than that. That's not bad.
I don't think it will. That's actually a ratio that they've maintained for several years.
Yeah, because when it comes to concessions, you still there?
Yeah.
When it comes to concessions that government gives away to companies or to people that come here and invest in our country. When it comes to the construction part of the business, 60% of the workforce building these buildings are supposed to be Caymanians. 60%. But because government for over 35 years now haven't been building any trade schools, we weren't able to have that percentage in place for that to happen. And I have another question. If the Cayman Islands dollar was the same value of a Jamaican dollar, do you think we would have as many people coming to the Cayman Islands to work as we do now today?
No, absolutely not. We wouldn't have Caymanians staying here in Cayman to work.
Okay. So don't ever think that people are coming to the Cayman Islands because they love Caymanians and they love and care about us so much. They love that money. Okay? So when government is putting things in place in order to take up for Caymanians, always remember that we have to take care of ourselves. And people aren't coming to the Cayman Islands because they love Caymanians so much and care about us so much and want to see our country move forward in a positive way. Caymanians have enough common sense and intelligence to do that on our own. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, caller. And I definitely agree that most people do not move to a country to work because they love the people of that country per se. They move for the opportunity afforded to them to what will hopefully build and create a better life for them and their family. That is usually the number one fact of people, whether they're immigrating or they're coming to work for a number of years in another country. It's not generally because they just love that country. If they do move to a country for the reason of just loving it and being able to get a position to work in something that they're skilled at, they have to already come from a position of privilege to be able to take that chance, not really knowing if it's going to work out, but hey, I'm comfortable enough just to be able to try it. So it's generally for that new experience and to secure a better position in life and better opportunity to move ahead. So thank you, caller, for your thoughts. I have some closing remarks to make, but before I get to that, I did receive a private member's motion that was sent to me. Now, this was sent to me from a member of parliament, and it is a private member's motion that was deferred on the 6th day of June 2019. And it was to implement a 5-year strategic plan to select and train Caymanians for leading positions. Whereas the makeup of the Cayman Islands civil service, statutory authorities, and government-owned companies are not all occupied by Caymanians in the leading positions. Be it therefore resolved that government considers implementing a 5-year strategic plan to select and train Caymanians to take all leading positions not already occupied by a Caymanian within the civil service, statutory authorities, and government-owned companies by the end of the 5-year period. And be it therefore further resolved that the leading positions referred to in the previous paragraph would be in respect to the following titles: Chief Officers and Deputy Chief Officers at Ministry, Portfolio, and Office levels, Director and Deputy Directors at departmental levels, Chief and Deputy Chief Officers at departmental levels, Chief and Deputy Executive Officers, statutory authorities, and government-owned companies, Managing Directors and Deputy Managing Directors, statutory authorities, and government-owned companies, and Commissioner and Deputy Commissioners at department level. And be it therefore further resolved that government considers making the necessary changes to any laws to make it mandatory that all titles listed above can only be filled by Caymanian by the first day of the expiration of this 5-year period. And be it further resolved that government considers implementing this plan immediately. This was tabled in the office of the clerk on the 20th day of March 2019. And as mentioned at the very beginning, it was deferred on the 6th day of June 2019 until the next meeting. I did ask, I assume that it was not passed, and the response that I just received was the government or DG would not support it. So that was a private member's motion brought in 2019. So a little bit of information coming right there by one of our MPs to let us know what plans have always been kicking around for this kind of thing. Now I know the show is over, but to tie everything up, I just need maybe 5 more minutes at the most. We can't take no more calls. The calls are done. I thank everybody who did call because you really did help me save my voice. But we talked about the term limits for the non-Caymanian civil servants, and I also want us to turn to the labor figures right now. I want to touch on understanding labor and employment rates, why context matters in immigration reform. So when evaluating significant immigration policy shifts, like the Cayman Islands government's new term limits targeting approximately 1,500 expatriate civil servants, it's essential to share some big picture understanding of labor and employment trends. The Spring 2024 Labor Force Survey by the ESO, the Economics and Statistics Office, reported an estimated 5% growth in the Cayman Islands' population, bringing the total to 87,866, up from 83,671 in spring 2023. The Spring 2024 Labor Force Survey that's coming from June 2024, I believe. So with Cayman's current unemployment rate at just 2.8% overall and 4.9% for Caymanians, the labor market remains relatively strong. And as mentioned, these are figures as of June's 2024's Labor Force Survey reports. Government employs 4,810 core civil servants. There are 1,479 non-Caymanians employed by the civil service, or about 31% of the 4,810 core civil servants, often filling critical roles in education, healthcare, law enforcement, and social work, areas that historically face local skills shortages. Targeting this relatively small group of expatriate civil servants for term limits may appear more symbolic than strategic. In global practice, workforce development policies typically address broader systemic challenges like training, succession planning, and that private members motion that I just spoke on touched on succession planning. Market competitiveness is also another systemic challenge. Further, how does our career guidance to students even introduce or encourage them to follow career paths that employ a large number of expat workers? I'm going to be very honest with people out there. When I'm talking to younger people, high school students, university students, it is not their dream to come and work for government when they came back to the Cayman Islands. Most are looking to get a job in the private sector. Now, as mentioned, as of June 2024, the Cayman Islands government employed 4,800 civil servants, an increase of 5.2% from the 4,572 employed in June 2023. Of the total number of employees, 3,331 were Caymanian, up from 3,220, or 3.4%, and 1,479 were non-Caymanian, up from 1,352, or 9.4%. Employed Caymanians accounted for 69.3% of the civil service, while non-Caymanians represented 30.7%. A reminder of the Cayman Islands unemployment rate as per the ESO. As of June 2024, the overall employment rate in the Cayman Islands stood at 2.8%, and the Caymanian unemployment rate specifically is at 4.9%, which is up from 3.7% in spring 2023. Now, the global average unemployment rate in developed countries, according to the International Labour Organization, the global unemployment rate is projected to be 5.0% in 2025 and 4.9% in 2026. Now, who is the International Labour Organization? They are the primary global authority that provides standardized figures and definitions for global unemployment rates. For a secondary source, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, the average unemployment rate across OECD countries remained stable at 4.9% as of September 2024. The OECD provides unemployment stats for its 38 member countries, mostly developed economies, and while the Cayman Islands is not an OECD member country, it engages extensively with the OECD's initiatives and adheres to its international standards on tax matters. Therefore, when it comes to a global developed country average, Cayman's overall unemployment rate of 2.8% is below average, and unemployment average for Caymanians specifically at 4.9% is on par with the global overall unemployment rate. We need to remember that not every single person wants to work. We need to remember this. Not every single person wants to work, and we need to stop pretending that they do. I would love to hear more from you, but I've got to wrap up the show. I have so many questions that I want to ask our listening audience, but I can't be asking it. We're really out of time. They're going to make me go till 10 a.m. if I do this again. So just to conclude here, it's clear that the implementation of term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants is a multifaceted issue with significant implications for our society. Policymaking must be informed by data, labor, structure, and capacity realities. Reforming immigration and employment frameworks without fully addressing Cayman's capacity to fill these vital roles locally risks service disruption, loss of institutional knowledge, and paradoxically, it may burden the very Caymanians such policies intend to empower. It may also be a very costly reform that is likely to be an extra financial and economic burden in the not-so-long run. And is no term limits for expats in the civil service a real, genuine problem that Cayman is having? Are the 1,500 expats in government, most of whom have been here for over 10 years and have built their life here, are they the reason for the decline of culture and the beginning of segregation? The reason why Caymanians are outpopulated in their own country? The reason why Caymanians have to uproot and move to foreign for affordable living? The reason why Caymanians can barely put food on their table, can't afford to invest in buying a home, and are living paycheck to paycheck? Is it the fault of those 1,500 expat civil servants, most of who have also built a life and go through the same struggles as Caymanians. I just want to know. Thank you for joining me on The Buzz. Thank you for your calls, for your thoughts, and sharing your perspectives. Stay tuned for more discussions on topics that matter to our community. I'll be back with you on Thursday. We got Money Sense, and then I'm going to be talking Revive, and then we got another guest after that on Thursday. But I got to wrap up for today. Thanks for hanging out with me and my not-so-strong voice. Have a great Tuesday.
The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And by Yum, daily school lunch menu.